Okay, now I'm trying to be quiet, but the neighbors are not trying to be quiet. So whether or not I get through this video is largely dependent on the hammering and banging and stuff that's not going on right now, but it'll happen. Anyway, I've written the function here, and I'll go over it. Hopefully it's working. I have hidden it inside this utest.h, so you can't see anything. This would be the way one would just use it. This would replace my TsResolveDosPath. I don't want to give it the same name just yet. I'm just going to replace the code in with TsResolveDosPath, which is declared up here, I think. Yeah, I'm going to replace the code inside here. Well, actually, the function calls this, so maybe I'll add an extra. Alright, now here is the way that I expect the function to work. This program takes an argument passed in, and I've passed in this path name. I haven't tested all scenarios. Within this path, as you know, you saw last time, there is a reparse point. It's also true that this path doesn't exist. Alan is a bad boy. See, there's nothing further than Alan Carr, which is not a reparse point. This is a regular directory. Okay. However, the function, I believe, given this path name, even if it doesn't exist, should resolve this and tell me where that would be if it did exist. That is, like if this was a substituted drive, it should turn that into a path. If I put K here, it would, it should give me that. Turn the K into whatever K points at. Alright? So it should work whether the thing exists or not. It should fail if it's not if it's a badly formed path name. It should work if I pass in the root directory. I haven't tested that part. It should work if I pass in a file name or a directory name. It should work if I pass in. It should fail, I think, maybe, if I pass in a file name followed by a backslash. That's an invalid path, right? This here. I hope that the recording's working. I'm encoding something, but I've got it on the lowest possible usage settings. It's using the advanced video codec encoder. So that means it'll probably be done sometime next week. If I passed in this, imagine this angle bracket's a slash. I believe that is because this is a file, that is an ill-formed path string. It implies that that this is a directory by the slash, but it's not a directory, it's a file. So I'm sure I'm not handling that case, but anyway. So let me just run it first. Okay, now that's the answer I expect. Let me print out what I'm passing in. And the result. easier. See them one above the other. Now it should work no matter how many of these reparse points are in the path, and I believe that I have all of that covered. Okay, backups Google Drive. Alan Carr is a bad boy. Comes back with C users Alan Google Drive. Alan Carr is a bad boy, and those are in fact those would be identical locations on the disk, even though this isn't really an existing directory. Now, how does it work? I put it in the header file. Okay, now this is not going to execute. This is a function declared and defined locally. I have a macro here. All this does is declare a struct and a static function, this name in the struct. So that means you can have a function inside your function. So the first thing I do is, in case it's a relative path string, I use this here. So we could try that, a relative path. And then I looked at this and it doesn't seem to do this normalization, which I want. So I'm getting the full path, and if there are like consecutive slashes, backslashes, I want to turn those into single backslashes. This sequence does that. Turn all forward slashes into backslashes, and condense just means take any consecutive occurrences of these characters and turn that into one. So that's all being done in one step, and actually nothing's going to happen because it's already in that format. Okay. However, the thing that was the sphere path string, what was that defined? Oh, that's passed in here, and it's constant. I should put a C here for constant string, whatever. So I need to take that constant thing, and I need to modify it, and also make it a full path, fully qualified path. And I'm calling this folder because what I want to pass to this resolve folder function is a folder, right? The idea is that this thing accepts a folder, but actually it does check for the case that it's not a folder in any case. So if the thing doesn't exist, whatever this came out to be, what I'm saying here is that if it doesn't exist, then we can definitely cut off the last, like the file name part. If there is a file name part, we can cut it off, and that's what this does. And also, if it's a directory, right, then, if it's a file, then we can cut it off, because we want to pass a folder into this function. In this case, it doesn't exist, so I split it up, and I'm just passing in volume and directory. Okay. Now, boy might actually have been a directory, but in this case it didn't exist, so it doesn't matter. The next one might be, and this remaining bit is just going to be added in at the end, so we won't lose anything. Okay, so now in Resolve, folder. We're checking. Now this is something I don't usually do, but I'm thinking about the way someone might use this function with resolve folder, although it's local to this function, so nobody else can use it. But generally speaking, supposing that the path string is an invalid path string, this thing returns a string of some sort, and that string is meant to be a path. Well, if I return a blank string as an error condition, let's say, then that could be a bad thing, right? That could maybe, there's the noise. I'll pause. I think I might have stopped, at least for a few seconds. Yeah, if we've been past garbage, at least return a valid path. That's all. Pause. I never know when to go. Okay, now that didn't happen. Again, I've been past a constant thing and I want to modify it. I don't know, it's been stopped now for at least a minute. Okay, I grab this thing which I'm assuming is a folder. I'm making the statement that if it's not a root style string, like a root folder, that means we're at the root, and it doesn't exist, whatever it is, we are free to cut off one end of the thing. That's the same logic that was used down here, but it's still true. Now, I could also use this, I could have used split path. However, in this case, I'm doing this cumulatively, and this is an easier way. While this condition is true, what I'm doing is saving up the end of the string that is non-existent. Right? Oh God. So I'm going all the way down until I find some part of the path that exists, and I want this tail bit to be saved off in the proper order. The way to do that is like a push and pop thing. Add to the head of the thing that you're accumulating the next bit up to a slash. So you'll see it happen here. Tail should become bad slash. Right? Now this doesn't exist either. So I should add to tail is a bad slash, right? Is a bad slash, but to the front, and that's I'm just building this string up as I'm cutting it off. Car actually does exist, so pop out of here. If we're at the root, that means that none of those subfolders existed, so just return the given folder. The assertion is that we must be, therefore, at a folder otherwise we found an existing path, I say. This root not file exists. In it, what was a file name? If it was a file name, this not file exists would be false. We will come in here. Okay, so I guess I'm just assuming that we were past a folder. This comment doesn't make any sense. Now I have another function called path contains reparse point. This scans the entire path looking for any part of it which has the reparse attribute, and that involves first again going backwards, and cutting off things by slashes. I'm checking to see if the given path is a reparse point. And the way to do that is quite simple. I have this function that takes a path string and tests for a particular attribute. Okay. Now I could make another function called isJunction, which would test if the thing has attribute directory and attribute reparse points. See what I'm saying? And all this has attributes thing does is get the attributes of the object. Let's see now. Okay, extended attributes. If and declare file order not empty, get long path name. Okay, this is just testing for one way to test for existence. If it doesn't exist, then it doesn't have any attributes. I'm saying. I could also have just said it not exists, really. Oh, but I want this stir alone. That's the thing I wanted. I wanted to extract the long path name, normalized path name, and I'm going to press pause in 5 seconds. It doesn't stop. It stopped. Okay, now all this macro does is turn this string. If we're in ANSI, if this is an ANSI build, it turns an ANSI string into a wide character string, because you always have to use wide character strings when dealing with paths. Always. You don't use ANSI ever. It's available, but you should never use it, because then you're restricted to max path worth of characters. Now you'll notice that it also, this auto unify thing, also added double slash, question mark, slash, pause. Okay. It's only been about a minute. Now this is a special function that gets extended attributes. There's another function called getAttributes. But the getAttributes function doesn't tell you about the all of the attributes, it turns out. In particular, it doesn't tell, I don't think so. It might. It doesn't seem to tell me, as I recall, about this reparse. Well, it definitely doesn't. I'm sure it doesn't. This here, although it looks like a function name or something, is in fact just a number defined. Well, not, it's a new, sorry. 0 and 1, and this 1 is invalid. The only, as far as the help says, the only valid value is to put in is this one. I still have it up here. Yeah. See? Can be one of the following values, that, and not the other. It's defined, but it doesn't do anything. I'm going to use the wide character version and put double slash question and slash in front. The reason for doing that is if when you do that, then your function will work with a path of arbitrary length. So it doesn't matter how long. It should be much greater than the max path. and it'll still work. Success is this thing not returning. It's a bool function. Okay. Now all I'm doing is, all this function does is test, there should, no, it doesn't matter. It's not a macro. Test the attributes, the attributes and the flags passed in to see if the object's attribute in total contain the attributes to be tested, and standard thing. So to see if something is a reparse point is simply a matter of seeing if it has that attribute. No, it didn't. That was car. So I cut off another bit, not at the root. Is Alan a reparse point? No, cut that off. Is Google Drive a reparse point? Yes. So return true. So the path contains a reparse point, again with the double slashes. Now I need to use a file function all the time. You have to use the wide character version and append this plain string. What I'm using here, do you think it's legal to murder someone for just working at lunchtime? It's not really lunch, is it? Maybe I should wait till... Okay, they stopped. I want to create a file, and the reason is because I have this function that I've written, and I even followed the help file tells you how to make this function. I think I have it in a video not too far back. A function which converts a handle to file into a path. Now if I have a handle to file, the kind of thing that this function returns is a path to a physical device. Okay, like it's going to find a device, and it's not going to be a letter type thing. It's going to be one of those // volume 3 or whatever type strings, and it'll turn that into a drive letter and path and so on. So I tried it, and it turns out that works. It doesn't matter how many reparse points there might be, just given a handle to file, right? And if it's a valid file, this function should return a location on a physical device, on the physical device where the file resides. So what I want to do is create a file. So I'm doing at anywhere in the path, because the path contains a reparse point, maybe one more than one, but this file handle doesn't know anything about that. It should just give me the actual path, and that should be fine. So this is presumably a unique file. I'm not going to overwrite anybody's file. I turn that into a wide character type thing. Create a file. This should be a standard function. This is a file that has it can be written to, and all attributes can be read. So I created it, and now I'm calling my special function that I just made. Again, this has a local function. I use a local function a lot. One of the problems is that this thing doesn't work correctly. The help file gives you an algorithm for doing this, and if size happens to be 0, they say, well, then you can't do anything about it. Quit and die. But I figure that why not just make it not empty in that case? You can always make it empty again. And that's what this thing here is for. This is a thing that has a destructor which, if told so, will empty the file when its destructor gets called. Okay? Set file pointer to 0 from begin, and then set that as the end of the file. Now, the way this works is you make a map file from the file, and then you call this thing, jump into here, there's something called get map file name. Now, okay, again, I'm making a wide character thing, but I'm not putting my slashes in my. Oh, no. This is the destination buffer. Right? This tells me how many were copied, and oh yeah, if I get this error, then I just keep growing. It's the same as usual. You keep growing your buffer until it stops giving you an error. Okay, it was an error, so I add to my length, make it this much. A new thing. Now you see what it's got here? Device hard disk volume 2. In fact, it doesn't, I shouldn't even, I only need to really find out this much worth of the return value, right? The rest doesn't matter. I think what it copied in last time probably had these characters, and I could have put it, but it doesn't matter. I'm going on for no reason. I don't need to fully determine the path string. All I need is this part, and then I can tack on the rest, whatever. Oh no, but in this case it's not true, because all these things changed. This changed to users. The thing passed in is just a handle. Oh, okay, never mind. Ignore what I just said. All we were passed was a handle, and this has turned that handle into this path. Right? No, none of these characters were passed in. All that was passed in was a single, well, in this case, a pointer to some mapped memory, and what the function mapped file name get mapped file name returns is the name of the file that is mapped to that particular logical address in memory. So, and that's what it turns out to be, and you can guess what that drive is. Okay, so now we have a full path without any letters or anything, no ambiguity where the file is. Now it's a matter of turning that into a letter. Now, you might think that you might as well just look at this number, but the prescribed way is to make a drive letter colon string and find out what its name is, like this. Here I'm passing in a colon, and this function is going to turn that into something that looks like this. See? Invalid device. Okay. If it is a valid device, B is invalid too. C is not invalid. It gives me this string. If that string happens to be right, the head of the string that I got from the get mapped file for the memory location, then I return. And I know that the device, the DOS device, which is a letter followed by a colon, is the current letter, this TC DOS device. So, string with, okay. Cut this bit off, once you're right. Okay. Cut this bit, add DOS device, okay, and return. Close the file, remove it. So the actual folder is, take away the file name from what I just got mapped. So here's the folder, right? The file name was some unique thing. And now add tail, which was computed up here, if there was anything extra, and in this case there is, to the thing that's been determined. And that brings us back here, and we print it out. Okay? So there you go. That's one way to do it. Now, I don't know if there are any other ways. I've seen one. The difficulty is in the fact that you need something that exists and a handle to it. I can't think of any other way to turn an arbitrary path into a handle that I can then turn back into a path, you know, like a real path, other than actually creating something, right? And then using that trick that Microsoft told me about of get mapped file name. You know, map something into memory, map a file into memory, and the file, and use the file's handle as the thing that you want to turn into a file name. That's pretty unambiguous. If the file handle is unambiguous, the file name is random, right? Doesn't mean anything. But this path is the path that's returned is special, right? Because this refers to a physical device and a physical location where this would be. I know that if I put a file here, that it's going to my C drive and not my D drive, right? So these letters, although normally meaningful, are not meaningful if there's a junction somewhere along here, right? Then that the specifier loses its meaning. To get its meaning back, you've got to do something. And I can't think of any other way to do it. That's my way for now. Okay, see you.